Hi there, I'm Allie Elliott.
Hi, I'm Allie Elliott. Welcome to the stream. We already have a party started in the chat. Hey, Ray and Impoverished. How are you guys? Everybody have a good weekend. Got some good stuff done. So, I'm tired today. And I'm going to do some, so let's see. Have I been on here since? No, I haven't. So, Portrait Masters competition. Portrait Masters awards were announced on Thursday. And I don't think I've been on here since then. So, I ended up, they had 9,000 entries, and I got a 5th and a 12th. So, I was pretty happy with those. Always kind of bummed not to be up in the first spot, but I still have some feedback. So I printed out my feedback from the Indiana competition, which I did well in that competition and earned some pretty cool accolades. But they also had really good discussion, and I want to make sure and handle the stuff before it goes on to IPC, which is like that's the goal. So, we've got a reunion. I like it. And I don't know if you can see, I tried to reorganize my area, and I hung up some of my degrees, and I don't have enough frames. But tomorrow morning is the very first painting stream. So I'm excited about that. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't really like people watching me paint. So I don't know why I'm putting myself in this position, but I think it'll be fun, and I think it'll be good too, since it makes me a little bit uncomfortable. I think that's good. So the feedback on this image won Best of Show for the Indiana competition, and that's new. That's not something I've ever won. I actually didn't know it was a thing, or I would have been sad before that I didn't win that, but now I did. So the feedback, there was something in the wheelchair or in the walker legs that they felt like was muddy or something. So I'm going to take a look at that. And then, so there was an interesting discussion that the story here is her scar. And like that, the title is Map of Courage. That is what's telling the story. So some of the judges did not like this very dark. One thing I did want to check and see if it was blocked out. And it's, maybe a little tiny bit. You can see this yellow right there, but it's pretty minimal. And then another judge felt like because the story was right here, that dark brought attention. So I'm a little bit torn on whether or not to adjust that. I do want to consider that while I'm looking at the legs. Maybe that. I think that was on there, but... And see, these real bright spots, that's like a bolt or something right there that's catching the light. So maybe, there's something right there too that's just in the background. So I'll clean that up. And it's so minimal, but at the same time, that could be the difference between a distraction from the story, and somebody else's image not having that. So just even out these. It seems like it's a little dark spot. I feel like that's part of the wheelchair, or I keep saying wheelchair, part of the walker. But if it's taking attention away from the subject, then I'll get rid of that. I'm at the hospital cafeteria. They ended up picking me up a little too early, but it's okay eating a cheeseburger. How is it? How's your hospital cheeseburger? I know that hospital food has a bad reputation, but in my experience, it's been like solid. And that even includes, so my family and I are vegan, and my husband and I have been vegan since I was 19. So I went vegetarian when I was 12, and then I went vegan when I was 19. And we had our first baby when we were 23, and like vegan really wasn't a common bit of vocabulary. And it certainly wasn't in any restaurants, even, never mind cafeteria. And our hospital was awesome and helped us out. Seeing a specialist for lymph nodes. Wednesday is chemo. Okay, is that your first? How are you feeling about it? Are you feeling excited, ready to grab the bull by the horns? We're right there with you. Okay, first one. Well, we will definitely be thinking about you. I'll say a prayer. This is, you got the results of your cancer screening today. Oh my gosh. Indifferent as long as they have good hospital food. There you go. I really, and then we were in the hospital with my daughter. You know, she spent a month there when she was a newborn, and our whole family got to stay there because this is pre-COVID. And the food was amazing. And in addition to that, we could Uber Eats. So I got nice and chunky. It looks like they got it all right. That's fantastic. Yay. I wish I had like my stream deck set up and I could have some celebratory thing happen. CT picked up allergies. They can do that? Like, what kind of allergies? Like seasonal? Or just like inflammation? That's crazy. Cheers to good news, though. They phrased it, so that is weird. I need some opinions on these little bolts. Should they come out? Are they just too much of a distraction? They're very bright. Oh gosh. Is that a lymph node in your lymph nodes? Okay, I'm trying to see. I really am feeling indecisive about these little bolts. You know what I am gonna do though is, now that I'm in here, oh, gotcha. Oh my gosh. Was it the same? It was the same type then, yeah. I was reading my great-grandfather's letters. So in the early 60s, he had cancer, and they lived in very rural southern Indiana. And he went to, it was like an inpatient. It was like inpatient, but he wasn't like in bed. It was like a, I don't know, I think of it as like like almost like a rehab facility. It's what it seemed like. And it's real interesting to see his letters. And they found out he had 2 different types of cancer at the same time. Now, I don't know how. This was the early 60s, so I don't know how reliable that information was. You know, I feel like it's come a long way. All right, I feel like I'm gonna take these out and see if, because when you're down here face to face with them, they sure seem like a lot. And then, oops, that's very big. And I do not need it that strong, but see, this is, I'm afraid I'm going to keep picking, pick until it's ruined. But since it's had some success, I'm a little bit scared to do that much. Just kind of smooth out those. This doesn't sound like folk music. So Ray, are you solid now? You're in the all clear? I know that the points at which they are able to say that are a little different all the time. Yeah, definitely keep up on follow-ups. As we all should. I feel like you have to see so many doctors. Like once you hit 40, I don't think maybe you guys aren't 40 yet, but it's hitting hard in that all the different like screenings and stuff. I feel like there should be like a one-stop shop. An ultrasound on thyroid, okay. Oh gosh, I got a couple to catch up on. Starting to find out Portland has a hospital known for treating cancer. Okay, good. So what's the concern with what would the ultrasound show? Hypothyroid and a teaching hospital. Okay. It's funny how like each hospital has their thing. We have, IU. If you follow college sports, if you follow Big Ten sports, you know IU for the Hoosiers. But it's a pretty solid hospital. Today we'll decide getting removal of lymph nodes. Okay, gosh. What is that procedure like? That seems like it would be intense. Oh, you know what? I might just... And we're like in here, like completely pixel peeking. And it's probably entirely unnecessary. But once I see, I can't just unsee it. Okay, so that was easy. I do not normally consider myself a perfectionist by any stretch of the imagination. However, when I don't have something else that I need to do, or sometimes when I have stuff that I need to do that that are like failure to launch, that's when I do stuff like this. Okay, so for this one, I feel like there's enough information in the dark that I want to leave it, and then the other judge in my head, especially with these dark corners, if there's no dark here, it's not really going to bring any real minor changes there. But I like it. And I'm going for it. I do. So I save what I submit, like a full size image into a separate folder for that competition. And then the final one is resized. There have been times in the past where I have only, like, I've saved the right version, but I've saved it in the one that I submitted, so it's smaller. And it's still fine to print, but I like having the big, full res. I like the big guys. But I do save in folders now for each competition. That was a learning curve. I learned the hard way that I needed to do that. Sometimes it's hard to remember, especially if, like recently where I've had simultaneous submissions, but there's enough, they overlap, but then there's enough time between each judging that I make little minute changes that maybe when you're flipping back and forth, you don't immediately recognize. Yes, but that's the thing too, is that a lot of the work isn't even, you can't really see the difference without it being pointed out. In this one, all I need to do is take away the guide images because they're not necessary anymore. But it'll be for sure weird. And it's funny, one of the judges, one we could do that with though would be conversations with our ancestors, because it was a huge change from the very first competition that I entered, and it did so poorly. And I tweaked it and I re-entered it and did poorly. And it was the only image that I've not given up on when it did bad. And it used to be I would enter district and rework something for IPC. And then if it didn't do well at IPC, I was just done with it. I didn't want to work on it anymore or anything like that. That is the only one. So I posted that one on a group on Facebook, and we were all supposed to share our bombs for competition that year. So I shared that one, and I got enough positive feedback that I was inspired, I guess, or whatever. I got enough feedback that I wanted to keep going. And looking back now, I'm so grateful that I didn't. Okay. Let me, you know what? That might be easier to just open up in a new folder because it was a process. So the first time was probably okay, so here's 21. Is this the final? Yes, okay, this is the final. So these are the guide images that I started with. This is the final. And then I can take you to the probably district in 2019. And this one didn't get entered into a lot of the smaller competitions because they don't have like a master artist type thing. Where you can use other images, and I've never once used like stock images. I'll just take something like a crappy cell phone picture from around the house and okay, so it was not in 2019, it must be 2020. It felt like I worked on this thing forever. Okay, you know what? I just stumbled upon this. This was my very first merit for PPA ever. No, it wasn't. It's very similar to this. And that's why I entered this one, because I got my first merit. And then for a little bit, I just kind of entered the same thing because I was like, okay, I found a cocktail that worked, an image cocktail, and I went black and white because I didn't trust my colorblind eyes yet. So I wonder, okay, so there's numbered days, so it was after that. Numbered days. This was my first master artist image that went, not only was it my first merit, but it was also my first loan image. And I'm still obsessed. I'm obsessed with Roger and his story. Okay, so that was District of 19. So I wonder if it was IPC of 19 was my first one. I don't, because I already entered it. All right, so it must have been 2020. And in 2020, so that was obviously like utter chaos. And they pushed district back. And then we just had one competition that year. This is probably going to be embarrassing that I entered this. Okay, so it's not actually as different as the amount of hours I put into it would dictate. So one of the major changes, this was a huge change. I'll try to put them like at the same. Okay, so in this one, I think I was afraid to go all in on burning, dodging, sculpting kind of, and they needed it badly. And they're just not really blending well in this. This is kind of a hot mess. I was initially going to try, so he's holding headphones up. This is my son, and he's holding headphones up to my great uncle who died in 1927. So I was gonna try to like blend time periods that way. And you can just see there's just not weight in like the hands grasping, the hugs, and stuff like that. And it really, and I even still see things that I would change. But that was probably the biggest difference. This set really made a difference. They're kind of cutouts in this one. Flat, pieced together, and just a lot of light sculpting. But most of the time, it's a really simple, minute change that makes all the difference in the world. Now I'm gonna mark off on my list here. So I came up with 2 new ideas that I sketched out yesterday, and they would be a huge undertaking, which kind of makes me excited because, like I said, I've got this time period between now and July when I enter IPC with not a lot of smaller competitions. I could enter MIR, the Merit Image Review, just to get some feedback, but to be honest, I was not terribly impressed with the process as far as for educational purposes. But we'll see. That might end up being the only option. I keep messing with my hair because it's bothering me. So, I need to work on Keely's candles, and tomorrow just happens to be Keely's birthday. So I would like to get this done so that maybe I can share this. I'm going to, so I darkened, this was last stream, you can kind of see, I just duplicated and then darkened, and I'm going to add a little color back in. And then I'm going to duplicate here, and I'm going to brighten it just a little bit, just make that so not a lot of change here because his candle is a little further away. I think it's getting there though. Then that's a big difference. That needed to happen. So I'm going to duplicate this brighter one and maybe warm it up a little more. Since I warmed up the darker part, I want the center of the candles to have a lot of heat surrounding them. Okay, I feel like I like this. I liked it before. So maybe I'm not a good judge of it. One thing I want to do, so to check and see if anything is burnt or blocked either way, I just do a little cheat and levels. And it also helps me to see, especially in composites, if my kind of threading together the images works. Now I've got a lot of blocked areas here, but for this type of image, that does not bother me at all. More concerning would be a burnt image anywhere other than, so the candles almost all fade out at the same time, except for I'm feeling this, actually. It's hard when it's a subject that I particularly feel, emotional about. Let's see. So this is one that I've got a few different versions floating around, and the differences are so subtle that it's hard to even tell. And being colorblind, I really can't tell. So, I love this song. I'm going to skip it though because we just heard it. Okay, so I'm just going to bump the curves enough to see if there's anything, creeping around there that shouldn't. I personally love it. But it's not up to me. Oh, my topic today. So I'm going to mark out. I've got the Keeley's candles. This is titled Holding Keeley's Candles. So I'm going to run through this other one too because use this song. Yes. You're my only like on TikTok still. I'm really struggling to find the motivation. Social media, man, I'm just not, I'd rather socialize in person. I'm not good at it. I do what needs to be done, but I don't like it. So I've got to talk myself into it. So this is Audacity of the Sun. It's had a strong showing in everything that it's been in, and I haven't gotten a lot of discussion about it. The scores are very even. There's not a lot of in fact, there's zero back and forth. And while we're talking about this, let me go into, oh my gosh, okay, I'm researching for a paper that I'm writing, and I've gotten like 9,000 tabs open right now. So I was just gonna see what this scored, if there was any discussion. So it scored an 81 there. It earned a distinction in Texas, which is the seal of approval, distinction, Texcellence. And I got 2 distinctions and a Texcellence. This was one of the distinctions. And that's the only thing I've had it done for. Oh yes, I'm gonna save this. Oh, that cupcake looked good. So this was painstaking because everything was extracted, but I was just looking at it, and I did intentionally, I did like a swirling kind of effect. But I was toying around with the idea of taking it off her face. Now, it scored well in competition, but it hasn't been mind-blowing. When it came down to it, it was beaten out by my other images. So because of the way IPC is set up now, where it's $50 per image, and they're in these specific categories, I don't want to enter anything that I don't feel like is just gonna, like, has the possibility. Not that I would expect any of it, but just that it would have the possibility and the right day to really rock the boat. And a score of 81 is not going to do it. So I don't know how I feel about this. See the kind of, I don't know, let me get in there real close. So it's part of the dizzying effect that I wanted, but do I want it on her face? So maybe I'll clean it up here and see if it matters, if I like it better or worse. This is one of those things that I feel like it could come back to bite me. So I don't know. And it probably depends on the judge. These are the kinds of decisions it doesn't bother me so much on the hair, but I'm going to take it down some.
I'm just a poor boy. I ain't got nothing. But I got love, babe. I know. So if you ever need me, honey, just call me. I waste no time, man. I come straight to you. All the rivers
I think that's maybe part of that effect too.
Even if I gotta swim there, you know I'll be there soon.
Okay, let's see.
I got your letter, dear.
I'm gonna go a little bigger and maybe, oh, that's too big though.
So
There we
plain
go.
to see.
Nope.
Oh, you don't want me coming around no more. I don't want no love, don't love me.
So my topic today, I keep distracting myself because I'm kind of scatterbrained right now. So one of the reasons I'm excited about coming up with this idea, for one thing, it's for category that I didn't have anything decided for yet. I have 7 categories that I want to enter, and ideally I wouldn't enter more than 1, 2 being the absolute maximum. That I would enter in any one category, because only any artist can only advance 1 per category for the top 32. So I don't want to enter anything that I don't believe could at least, I hate this. That couldn't at least get into the top 32, and then whatever makes it in there, you know, is bonus. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is what I've been entering. It's very, I like it with the effect. It's without the effect. Yeah, no question. Boom, that has been answered. Do not save the changes. Now I'll make sure that I have the right one saved. I've got the files, and that's the upside of having minute changes, that I've got other ones. If I save it wrong or like that, like I think I'm making improvements and end up messing it up, then I can always go back. Okay, so that's done. And I checked the dark near the leg and the walker for Map of Courage. So I have 4 completed now for IPC. Let me make sure I save this in the right spot. Yes, okay, so this will be the telltale. And this I'm going to leave up because, like I said, tomorrow is her 16th birthday. So that will be the, we've kept her face under wraps for all these years. This one is just this is my busybody work to keep myself from like, do you remember in Tommy Boy where he had like the biscuit and he was talking her into making, like firing up I don't remember what he wanted, like nuggets or something. And he like crumbled the sail. That's me with artwork. And just pick until I just crumble it and then ruin it. And in digital, it's not as big a deal because you can go back. But as you'll see if you join me for painting tomorrow, you can't go back on oil painting. Not really. It's much more difficult. But anyway, I'm going to give it a go. That's for an exhibition, and Troop of One will be a part of that too. So what I'm going to do here, all right, so I updated those. So I'm going to paint this, and I have a spring and summer magazine that I need to wrap up. But I also want to talk about the number one. So if anybody's here, tell me what you think the biggest mistake an artist, and I used artists because we as photographers are artists, but this can envelop a whole entire expanded industry. What is the number one mistake that you believe artists, photographers make? What just happened? I dusted off my stylus. I'm just gonna blow on it. I'm in a weird cleaning frenzy lately. I'm going to text my son to bring me coffee. I'm not actually 100% sure he's down there. I think he might have gone to soccer. But, just in case. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this one. Alright, so these are all pieces that I pulled up to work on this. Because I like the idea, and this is going to be my busybody work, to keep me from picking apart my images while I wait for the competition to open up, which is a while. That being said, I came up with a family group image that will require a whole lot of people and a whole lot of extracting. So I'll have all kinds of streaming work on Twitch, and it will keep me busy so that I don't go in and mess with my stuff that's completed. So I have 4 completed, and then I have 2 that I just came up with, and so I've got 2, I take that back, 3. I came up with 3 concepts that would be time intensive, all 3 of them. One of them, I have an image in that category already. It could fit into group portraits and families, or I could maybe make it fit into newborn and maternity. I don't like that as much, but that would cut down on the amount of work I need to do. However, I don't really want to cut down on the work I need to do. I want to keep myself busy. And then I have one that if the local animal shelter will work with me, we could, if we could use the pets, some of the pets that are waiting to be adopted in this composite, I think it would be a really special thing for those pets, and maybe help get them adopted. Because who doesn't love a pet portrait? But since I'm compositing, it makes it easier too. And then another concept that would be time intensive, I don't have the model. So I've got 1, 2, 3. At least 3, maybe 4. Oh, but since I already have 4, that's a lot. $50 a pop. That's not... I gotta really believe in them. I've got to believe in them at least $50 worth. Okay, so I'm going to drag this. So my busy work for right now is dragging this up here. Oh, I see why I did that. Getting a lot of TikTok notifications and I just don't know how to do it yet. I'm like, Grandma needs help with TikTok. Okay, so what I want in this, there we go, that, like this little drip, I want that. Okay, so this is going to be time intensive and probably boring. So what I need you to do is entertain me. And tell me what you think. I want to wait and tell you what I think the biggest mistake that an artist, a professional artist, because like, you know, as an artist, do whatever you want. But if you want to earn a living creating art, there are ways that will more readily guarantee some level of success. Just like with any business. Whoops, just want a little ham there. And I just don't want to forget that we started talking about this. So I'll just give you a minute, both of you, two viewers right now. Don't everybody talk all at once. And I thought about this for a long time before I went with what I truly believe is the biggest mistake. Now, how did I manage that? Because I really thought that oh, that's what I did. I didn't copy and paste. Wow. It's like, why am I still on? Okay, that makes more sense. I like this song. So, I gave this some thought and I had some different ideas, but I really think that if you are an artist, a professional artist that wants to earn your living creating, the biggest mistake that you could make is not having a goal. And that can mean a whole lot of different things. It can be financial, it can be professional, it can be a degree or an award or any kinds. I mean, those are what I'm listing because those are what I use. I like to have a lot of different goals. So there's always one to check off. I love a list. But I feel like without a goal, a specific goal even, it's too easy to just coast. And then you run into complacency or feeling like, well, I tried, kind of a thing. Like you can count on likes and things that maybe feel good but aren't necessarily going to propel your career forward. And like I said, it's just a matter of what your goal is. I would assume that all artists have very different goals. That's kind of, the nature of the industry. And I like having different ones all the time. And I don't change them. I, hopefully am marking them off. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to drag some of these colors into kind of a smear pattern. And then I can drop some highlights and shadows in there. I'm going to go a little bit bigger because I want these to not be wildly predictable. Just want like a little bit of a drip everywhere. And I think when I started doing it before, it just wasn't translating because I had my I'm going to put this somewhere else. I'm going to go ahead and put this in upcoming. I've kind of decided to shy away from this, but I might enter this one just as an experiment since it's not a matter of a case, you have 4 and then that's it. I need a good title for this too. It's just gonna be Rain Kitty right now because I don't want it to sound contrived. And anything I come up with right now it's gonna sound not intellectual. It's not gonna give the air that I want. So obviously I've spoken about my financial goals for my business. And I'm gonna go bigger right here because this is all closer. And I don't think that I want her and the cat dripping. Which it might present, oh, and there's the cat herself. It might present an issue with tying her into the background. Oh, wait a second, I went too far. I forgot she wasn't on the same layer. And I want to make sure that I'm going downward as well. Especially right here because I've got a little bit of a clone track. And I'm going to duplicate this because I want to get it off of her face for the most part. Or did I leave her separate? I'm not sure. We'll just go back. I think I actually maybe did, but let me see. So I'm just gonna duplicate this. She's darker, obviously. So I'm just gonna, do you wanna brighten her or maybe bump the curves? Put that back on 0. And then maybe I just do both. Maybe I do. Indecisive. This is definitely going to be one because it's experimental. It's largely experimental. That I want to print. I'm gonna go smaller. Oh my gosh, it's obsessed with this song. And there's so much bokeh throughout the rest of this image. There are a lot of lines that go with it, that it doesn't feel like too much to me. It's like slightly distorted. I'm gonna save this And I'm gonna duplicate her, and I'm gonna get in there and paint some more. Because I feel like this will be even more important. It's a little much. Got a little crazy. So I need to post a model call and make some of these images happen that are that is okay, and then I'm going to come back up here. Whoops, just got a little overboard. Whoops. And then I'm just kind of, this is an experimental piece. This is definitely something out of what I've normally done. So I just want to make sure that it's dramatic enough that it's fun. And that it's definitive. That these are intentional happenings. Okay, so let's see here. All right. And then add some color back in. And by some, I mean all. Add all the color back in. Just kind of keep repeating that process until it makes it more blendable. Oops. So I feel like with the goals, it's just a matter of having direction. Because as artists, I think that we have, it's like both the good and the bad, is that we have this capability to well, let's see here. This is to just kind of do and be. And I think that's great, but I also think that having a direction is so important. This is like, there we go. no, this is whistling every time. Okay.
All I want in this whole life, a little red house and a country wife, a picnic table out on the lawn, a couple of kids and a couple of dogs. Work all day to 5:30, chain link fence and a gravel drive. Wind time ringing on my front porch, a brand new carpet on
I'm going to burn.
swing tie around a limb with a tall oak tree. It don't sound like much, but it sure is heaven to me. A big bathtub in my bathroom, microwave,
Just
dishwasher,
burn a little shadow under there.
when to pass on the street, a clean pair of socks every day of the week. Big soft chair for when I'm old, tackle box and a fish
And
bowl.
then
I don't care about the fortune or fame, I just don't wanna know my mailman's name. At Christmas time, gonna leave him a gingerbread cookie. It don't sound like much, but it sure is heaven to me. Every now and then we go on a vacation, dig a radio and a country station, hot dog grilling in the noonday sun, drink a little beer, boy, have a little fun. Some folks worry about getting ahead, but I'm gonna live a little before I'm dead. And anyway, they say the best things in life are free. It don't sound like much, but it sure is heaven to me.
okay. Don't want this to be confused with a tear. Okay. Oh wait. Duplicate. That's not like me at all.
Yellow flower,
And now
green
merge.
grass, bright
And then
road that's built to last. A big beer store on every clothes, a slip and slide and a garden hose. All my buddies and their wives have a big barbecue on the 4th of July, and a cheap guitar so I can play a little melody. It don't sound like much, but it sure is heaven to me. No, it don't sound like much, but it sure is heaven to me.
so that's my biggest mistake a professional artist can make. That's what I think. All kinds of mistakes. No need to limit yourself to just one. That would be boring. Okay, so I think I need to work on the kitty. First of all, I'm gonna get some of this just. Let's see. No. Okay, well, I'll just have to. All right, let's see here. What does a puddle look like? I need to Google a puddle for a reference. Puddles are one of those things that like like when you create one, it doesn't look real, and real ones also don't look real. I do see one thing that I want to do with the drips. I want to go a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger. Maybe even a little bigger than that, because this is going to go right through. So I'm going to pop right up here and just go crazy on the highlights. And I could just get in there, get into the contrast since this is on a separate layer, but I just want to highlight some of the bottom of these droplets by hand first so that it's not as even as, like, sometimes nature is just so beautiful that it looks fake. I think about that a lot when you see like a really beautiful sky, and then I think to myself, or I say out loud, you know, if you use that in a photograph, if you put that in competition, people would be like, yeah, right. The sky doesn't look like that. I do appreciate a good sky. One of my favorite things is when we are going on a trip and we leave really early in the morning and get to see the sunrise, and like the kids all go back to sleep, and that's just like one of my most favorite things. I like a higher contrast, but take the brightness down a little bit, yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to work on the cat. So one thing that I need to do first here is clean, because I made this mistake before. All right. Where I accidentally flattened her onto a layer that she was supposed to stay separate from. And it really accentuates where her whiskers back to Zuzu and down to like 3 pixels. And she, to my knowledge, has never been in the rain. I think she was born out in the wild and then rescued.
Please don't beat around the bush, and I don't want to push, but you're making this hard. I know.
And then I'm just gonna give her
dishes in the sink and trash in the front yard.
queen treatment here, like I would give.
Tell me, what can I do? Do I go for a walk? Should I stay with you? I'm tired of sitting on my hands, watching what I love wilt like a house plan. Do you feel alone? In
And then we'll go way down and way down.
'cause I feel alone in our home. Seems like just the other day I'd see your face and know what to say. Now I'm staring at the ground, stepping over eggshells spread all around.
Just so they all match.
So tell me,
Fur is hard because
do I tiptoe around to pick up
she's not in the rain, but her feet are gonna be wet.
this message?
She needs little like
Minefield out of our dress.
kitty galoshes.
Do you feel alone in our home? 'Cause I feel alone
Okay. So
in our home.
let's just paint some raindrops here.
I'm not talking if you're not talking, and you're not talking if I'm not talking. I'm not talking
Then
if you're not talking, and you're not talking, and I'm not. Do you feel alone in our home? 'Cause I feel alone in our home.
and then I'm just gonna give it one more little. Okay, it's so minute. It is so stupid that I'm spending all this time on it. But I just am kind of being a busybody. So I need to look at puddles again. What if we just grabbed part of this and then flipped it. And then just took the hard edges off. is going to duplicate and get flipped. And then get warped a little bit, or I guess more distorted. And then a lot of unnecessary work here. In case you were wondering, yes, absolutely. This is too far away. There's no reflection there. Wrong angle, all that good stuff. And then we're gonna Gaussian blur. And then maybe a little more than that. And then just really strong, just to grab those edges. And then down. And then, okay, so what is that? You see, no, I don't see it. It's just that one ray there. Okay, so I'm gonna save this as Rain Kitty 2. And then everything behind that is gonna get flattened. This is an experiment, so we'll see. And then we'll just do a big that's going back to 0, but honestly don't know how I feel about this. I'm gonna add color back in because this is supposed to be a really colorful piece. However, my tendency is to go deep and muted. I think I like it like that. And then we'll see what. And we'll see this is a totally separate one. And then sometimes, especially with colorful pieces, what I like to do is just flip in black and white, because that will tell you. I almost never turn anything black and white, but if you flip it black and white, you might be able to see and I'll do it like this now before we start. Make sure that I'm on pure black and pure white, and I'm just going to go to gradient map. So you can see that she doesn't have enough attention on her face. Or the cat. So I'm going to duplicate this and you know what? I wonder, let's test Photoshop here and see if it can find my subject. Not bad. Well done. And now I'm going to duplicate because I want them to be in the exact right spot. Select the inverse. And then now before I go any further, I'm gonna go in here and just hand dodge. Just with 5 pixels, it's so minute, but make sure I'm on the right layer. And given that this is a rain image, back in the lobby waiting for my appointment. Good luck. Okay, sitting. Could be sorting. Now I have to go back and see. Oh, okay, so this is the lymph nodes. Okay, we're waiting with you. All of Twitch is waiting for good news. Sorting through. Oh, I know. The doctor paperwork is so ridiculous. And that's even just for like your basic, kids' well checks and stuff. So I can imagine that it's worse. And even like I'll take a few of my kids to their well checks and like still have to fill out all the paperwork individually. And I'm just gonna go ahead and smear this because that's I wonder if maybe I could pull some lights in that might be like behind her, kind of reflecting. And then I was gonna go real small too and just so I think I'll take this down smaller and maybe up to like 30-ish. There's really 10 pages. You would think like with all this technology and like everything at your fingertips that, you know, and they have a database. Our hospital has a database, but you still have to fill it all out. I don't know. Even like, it almost looks like her hackles are up right there, which works. So do you get your results immediately or do you have to wait? Because I'm never on board with the waiting. I can't. I'm not good at it. Need a brighter red. There, like that red.
We find ourselves starting from scratch, brick by brick.
I don't know if I like this or not. I don't know how I feel about it.
Carved out for us now. The brush is thick. All I'm asking now, don't give up on love.
I think I need this cat brighter.
Don't give up on love.
Okay, so I'm gonna duplicate this and duplicate this and then hide and merge.
Know that you're
And then, uh-oh, and maybe duplicate this
please don't
and merge those
There's valleys and mountain
and
tops
duplicate that.
on this rocky road.
And now I am saving this in entirely the wrong place. So,
All I'm asking now, don't give up on love. Don't give
Actually, I didn't hate that.
I meant every word that I told you before.
Let's
All
do.
I'm asking now, don't give up.
So her coat is too bright. It's grabbing a lot of the attention.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give
Should be her face is the last. So let's try this again. I'm gonna be impressed if it does. It did the same. I'm impressed. That's so different than how it used to not that long ago. Okay. Okay, so okay, and then I'm gonna smaller. Okay, and then I'm gonna go down to 50% on this side because I want mainly to show that the bottom of the skirt is wet too. Just to kind of help set them into the scene. I like the darker. Okay. I'm gonna duplicate and merge. And I wish there was a headlight behind the umbrella because it could use that layer, that depth, and it doesn't have it. So we'll just have to create it some other way. I wish there were some street lights too. Maybe we could put some in. I went looking the other day. Let me see if I got any street lights. It was during the day. And I was mainly trying to get puddles, which is where this puddle picture came from. Let's see here. No, I initially didn't want the cars, so I was specifically trying to avoid the cars, but I really like, with the drip effect that we're creating, I like it. So clearly I don't know. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm gonna send this to myself because we can use this. So I need to, let's see, I'm gonna contact the shelter, the pet shelter, and see if maybe we can work something out where I could photograph some of their animals and maybe create like an awareness campaign or show off specific animals, whatever they want to do, whatever will help. And then I can use them for a composite that I've got an idea for. And then I've got a newborn image that's going to be either tough to find the right family for, or I'm going to have to piece together people who aren't really a family. And I don't like doing that because I like for it to be a real story. I've actually never done that. I've always felt like I would for the right image, but I've never needed to do that. So hopefully I can find a family that could get 4 generations together. That's not been my family. We can't even get 3. So let's pull this and see if I can use this. All right. I'm gonna put that in the Rain Kitty. I'm just gonna go back to the Rain Kitty folder because now I've got a whole lot of different versions in which is kind of ridiculous. Let's see, competition pieces, here we go. There it is, okay, and I had to go around this. I took this while I was driving, which I do not recommend by any stretch, but there was no other traffic nor people walking, and it's only one way, so it was basically at a stop. But I think I can use this little street light, just like a little shadow of it. This is actually the same area, that's just how much it's changed.
Following a shadow down to the graveyard, gonna say a prayer, gonna pay my dues. I've been running wild ever since I left Virginia.
And then I'm just gonna throw an action on it. I wonder if that will. I bet not. Too many branches, yeah, I figure. But I can use. There we go. Perfect.
Any heart can shatter like a pane of glass. To the wind it scatters and let's go at last.
So I'm just gonna get a smaller. And I'm going to apply for a fellow this year for ASP, which is American Society of Photographers. And I have heard that nobody gets it the first time they apply. Usually it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the first year that I'm eligible. And I feel like regardless of the outcome, it will be a really good learning experience. You write a thesis paper on your journey or your philosophy or your process, like any number of things. And I'm not being real precise with this because I'm probably going to tuck this behind the cars anyway. Okay, just in case. And I'm gonna use kind of the same, I don't know what took me so long to figure this out, but I'm gonna use kind of the same general idea behind the book that I wrote, one of them. So I'm excited about this process, and it very much goes with the portfolio that I'll be turning in with it. So you write a paper, and why is it not? Okay. So you write a paper with your philosophy or whatever, and then you turn in 25, and it's all separate. So first you turn in your application, and then you turn in, like a month later, you turn in your so you turn in your application and your fee, and then you turn in your paper is next, and then your actual printed portfolios. You have to turn in actual prints. So it's a pricey process, but I think there'll be a fair amount of growth in there, just going through it and like zeroing in on those things for myself. So I think it'll be good. So I wasn't even planning to use these street lights, but I feel like I need another visible light source. I always like grip the stylus so hard. This is supposed to be acoustic folk, and it does not sound like that to me. I don't actually know what shape I'm working with here, but this is what we're going with. It's gonna be blurry anyway, don't worry about it. So I wrote my outline today for the thesis paper, and I decided that if I couldn't come up with a perfect outline with a perfect idea, philosophy, whatever, if I couldn't hone in on it, I know it's in there somewhere, but sometimes, you can't necessarily just call on it. But I think I figured it out today. So I actually think it'll be pretty cool. The process will be pretty cool. I don't have any expectation at all that I'm going to make it. In fact, I expect that I won't. But if I thought there was no way, I wouldn't do it. So at least on some level, I feel like there's a chance. It's a long shot. But I like being the underdog. So we'll just go ahead and I'm just gonna put this on a new layer so that I can play around a little bit. now realizing how very hungry I am. I'm gonna go back because I meant to change that to 50%. I changed the flow to 50%. Okay, and then let's go back to like merge those and duplicate. Let's see. And then just keep going in hard on the Gaussian blur. And then let's see. I'm actually going to take a little one and kind of okay, and that's got the edge caught up with us there. Because it's further away, it's not going to be quite as bright. And then I'm going to lower the opacity as well. And then I'm going to duplicate that before we do anything else and hide one and just drag. Maybe not quite that much. Okay. I don't know if I like it. I might have to sit on that actually for a little bit. Duplicate and see what we think about.
If we don't look too close into the mirror,
Let's go
just
smaller.
do as they say. Let it all go, flow down the river. there should be no hesitation.
I cannot decide what I think about this. Let's merge these and name them. And ooh, maybe. Nope, I didn't mean to do that. Do vertical.
Poem without rhyme, birthday cake without the wishes. Everything stays the same. Beautiful words, but no one listens. You're a bullet through the door. Don't know what you're waiting for anymore.
Okay.
You're a bullet through the door. I can see the damage you're making. You're faking it. You're a bullet through the door. You feel time is running out for the only thing you care about, baby. Don't let go.
Okay. This is chaos, but I'm here for it. I'm gonna put this back in Ring Kitty folder because it was getting like muddled. Okay, so now we needed something to put a little more light on her. So let's just see what we can do here now. I'm gonna check with just my levels first. So the darkest parts are under her feet and on her skirt, which is where they should be. And then I'm gonna do this again. Nah, I like it without. Okay. I wonder if it's because there's no connection between the two subjects. The cat's looking at her, she's looking at us. One thing I do want to do though is make the shine really stand out. down to 1 pixel. Okay. So what I really need, maybe, I'm going to duplicate this again. I think these headlights need to get brighter. I don't know if that's in the same place, but we'll try.
It's not a mix of soap and talking open wounds. Heavy breathing and overeating has suddenly left me. Talking to my
Okay. Okay, let's see. Duplicate this and then once again call on the magic of Photoshop to select our subjects. Wait a second. Do not select inverse actually. Just and then new layer right behind them. Oh. That's, oh my gosh, it's so annoying. There we go. Now a new layer. That's that one. Okay. Yeah, right there. Perfect. this is gonna be a new layer because we did all kinds of crazy stuff there. I think that maybe I'm moving in the right direction. So, ooh, okay, I just thought of a title. Maybe not so random act of kindness. Maybe. Okay, so gonna do the same thing that we've done 1,000,000 times. And then new layer. Let's see, I want to bump some vibrance in here. Yeah, I think I like it. Okay. And then I just want to put a little weight under this cat. Okay, good. All right, so I'm just gonna erase back where the actual feet are for now. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go a little bit bigger and get the hard edges. I'm gonna go closer there because Kitty's foot is lifted. Merge those and duplicate. And I'm just gonna put more weight under her boots. So quiet tonight. And I know I'll miss most of my usual people during my painting streams. Maybe bring in a morning crowd there. So it'll be fun. And maybe some of the regulars. And like her feet being darker works for me because she's in the water.
There was no sun.
she's got a little bit of, you know what? One thing I want to do for sure though is go down to 1 pixel and give her a catch light.
So close, secure.
Apparently we're not on pure white. What in the world? Maybe I'm just too low opacity there. Maybe we just go all in.
And I'm yours. All yours, baby. Now I'm yours. All yours, baby.
And then just a teeny tiny.
Before you, there was no plan.
And we'll just add some clarity there, but not anything.
Before this little
That.
I never dreamed a love like ours.
Let's see.
Close, secure, complete.
I think we're getting there actually.
You came to be right
All right.
with me.
So merge these, duplicate, save as a new file,
All yours, baby.
pop your back. And then I'm gonna check again with my levels. I know I've got some clips, some clip blacks, and I know I've got some blown spots. As long as they're intentional, I'm okay with that. So the clippings are, okay, just a blown red channel. But they're right where I want them to be. I like the stop sign because it gives a balance. It gives that little, and the lights, the red channel, those are all, the only thing competing with her face are the light sources. So I'm okay with that. So we might be getting ready to put this one to bed. I'm gonna run a little vignette along the edge. Real minute though. And then make sure that's nice and crisp. And then I'm gonna save this in and I might try to find a competition to move that into. I don't know of any though between now and IPC. Let's see, upcoming IPC. Let's say this is a JPEG. This is definitely outside of my normal wheelhouse, outside of what I'm comfortable doing. But that's fun too. kind of takes away some of the. Make sure I saved it in the right place. One space in it. Okay, and then I'll move. No, not copy. Cut. And put them into here. Okay, so I feel like that's a good spot. To be in right now. Like I said, I've got at least 3 and probably 4 images left that I need to schedule. Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3 absolutely that need to schedule. Before I go, I want to come back and look at this and see if there's anything that I can do here to improve on this. Okay, so the candles, actually nothing is blown there, which is kind of a miracle that the candles aren't, but they look good. And then as far as clipped, a big chunk of it, but it's all it makes sense. The shadows and the clothing, I'm good with that. So I will call this one good as well and make sure that it's in the right folder. And it is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are done. The one I'm not sure about. The kitty one I'm not sure about. Maybe put a mat on it, maybe print it, and I'll get some more clarity. But right now I'm not sure, and I want to maybe do the shelter animals to see, you know, what comes of that. But I've got 3 other categories. I've got 2 other categories that have nothing in them. So I'm going to start with those. I definitely want to do the high school senior because I really like that concept. I just had to find the right person for it. And then same with the other one. I've got the concept that I really like. It's going to be kind of tough for that one. The high school senior one, I feel like I could fit that into a lot of different stories. But the other one is going to take 4 generations. And that's not an easy order. So I will be back in like 13 hours to oil paint, and I'm very, very excited and kind of nervous to oil paint. This is for a competition. This print back here, I will be oil painting the same image on stretch canvas from, by hand, freehand. And we're gonna do that tomorrow. So if you're around tomorrow morning, come hang out. If it's a dumpster fire, still come hang out. But if you're just in it for the photography, I will be back on Wednesday, and I want to know what you think the biggest mistake an artist / photographer / any kind of artist can make is, and we can discuss that at greater length. It's a quiet night tonight. Thank you for those of you that came to hang out for a little bit, and I am pumped for tomorrow morning. Hope to see some of you there. Otherwise, catch me on YouTube and Instagram and sadly TikTok. I'm not good at that, so help me out. Thank you guys. Have a beautiful evening. Bye.
That's why you my mommy.